Shri Prithvi Singh ji is our next speaker. He's an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad and College of Veterinary Science, Bikaner. He has 15 years of rich experience in multiple domains like agribusiness, marketing, sales, retail, analytics, consulting, new business development, etc. He has started a venture called SuperZob, which is an agri-commerce platform supplying quality staples from farm to shop and other B2B customers. So I invite you for your talk.
Namaskar, everybody. Uh, so today it was actually, I would like to thank the organizer to invite me here, and it was very rich experience listening everybody. Uh, the purpose actually that we work in the agriculture industry, and actually we don't see the agriculture and food is different. Actually, when we think about it, normally people think that agriculture is different part, which is growing part, whereas food is consuming part. Actually, if we want to have, we need to have a holistic approach towards this, and agriculture and food looks should be looked into, you know, in a one whole subject. And when we think about it, there should be three main objectives for this. One is holistic well-being of this, which means food and agriculture should not be looked only for health and nutritional perspective. It should be looked in completely holistic well-being of humans as well as nature. The second part of it, once we think that okay, we'll achieve holistic well-being, then how it should be achieved? It should be achieved through self-sufficiency. A lot of speakers has talked about in village level self-sufficiency, which is the best way to do that. And third is, once we achieve self-sufficiency, that should be sustainable also. So sustainability is important, and these things can be done by prioritizing local resources, community participation, ecological balance. So I would not get into that because there are two part to it. One part is about in entire Indic wisdom what food should be consumed, and second part is what should be grown. And we know about it. The knowledge is not new. It is there in thousands of years that what should be consumed, how it should be grown. And another side, if I think about it, because I come from startup business background, there is a consumers available, there is need available. Everybody want to have good food. We have seen in the COVID, force people to have good food. So if there is knowledge available, if there is a supply available, if there is a demand available, it's still not happening. It is not happening because there is something fundamental missing, I think. And when we think about Indic wisdom, we think about Bharatiya knowledge, we need to think about why this is missing. A lot of people are working. I've seen you all guys have worked in very rich, many years of experience. Still, it is not taking the scale which it should take. We have seen if you top 10 companies of world, you will see every 10 years, 15 years, they change. Earlier they used to be 20 years when the change will come. Now 10 years, you will see all the companies are changing in the top companies, which is completely changing the world dynamics. The next change will come maybe in 5 years only. Then why this Indic knowledge is not able to change the entire humanity? And it is not. I think it's approach which is different. One is if we think about invention, there is a difference between invention and innovation. The basic difference between invention means something novel, which really takes time, which is needed and which is really true, which means truth. Good thing about it that it is already available. We don't need to invent something. It is one of the speaker mentioned that it is already there. We are rediscovering, reinventing. So invention is already there. What is missing is innovation. Innovation means that invention should be applied for current needs. And when consumer has changed, the user has changed, that actually what is invented versus how user will accept it, adapt it. Which means if we will talk about that, how it would be used, that would be innovation. And innovation will happen when it was invented, that time it was adapted well because it was for best suited of users of that time. Today's users has changed, and hence whatever was invented thousands of years ago, it has to be innovated so that it takes that scale. And when we think about the scale, then we should think about not the industrial scale, because industrial scale is a Western concept. It won't be fitting into today's time. So invention is available with us, which was our, ancestors has given us. Innovation has to be done by today, by us. And when I say by us, means it should be for the today's time. Today's generation won't accept, any lifestyle which we will tell, though it is good, but they won't understand because it is not in the language which they understand. So it should be, the innovation should be thought of about this, which means, that is what is a responsibility. And let me see what is a food grown to. So what food should be consumed? Already there is a knowledge about it. Ayurveda talks about it, what should be taken, when should be taken, which location food should be taken. All the knowledge is there. So we work, for example, we work a lot of, uh, we work in this staples, this entire supply chain, and we are promoting millets. We procure millets directly from the farms and we are giving it. So think why this is not happening. When we think about at the scale, it should be decentralized scale level. It can't be industrial scale level. When we talk about decentralized scale level, agriculture growing side should remain decentralized, which is what is a great things happening at the village level, at the farm level happening. But at the consumption side, it has to take the some scale. So when we see it, from the business perspective, I see it, there are three big problems I see. One is about the cost. Let's take the example. People think the organic food should be grown, right? It should be consumed. I also know it, but everybody know it. But as a consumer, when we want to go, pure ghee comes in 2000 rupees liter. Who will buy it? It's not right. Whereas the grower is growing the ghee in the maybe same manner. Of course, there is a cost to it. So one is about actual cost of growing the food, which should be reduced. And there is a Vraksha Ayurveda is like a perfect way of say growing. It can grow like, fast way also. Organic food you can grow it makes the entire production side also cost effective, like Gopal bhai mentioned. So that knowledge is already there. So that knowledge, that wisdom is there, which should be applied. But at the same time, it should thought of how it would reach at the scale level, decentralized scale level. So there are two things which needs to be, I think, what should be done. One is the physical ways of making it accessible. For example, today people who think the population is sitting in the urban centers, so for example, there are, I have seen in the cities nowadays, the farmer market is there. If the farmer market is there, the similar way the organic farmer market should be there. Why people don't buy it? Because they don't trust it. If it is very cheap, it won't be organic. If it is very costly, I can't afford it. So this is the problem which needs to be sorted out. So it means that, scale should be given. So it means one is that level which is like physical centers. It is one of the recommendation which can be, for example, universities can have, or different locations can have, where physical centers, that organic product would be available throughout, maybe once in a month kind of thing, when everybody come there, buy from there. So I am sure that, I am getting it which is authentic, I can trust it. And of course, when demand goes, then the supply cost comes down, which is typical principles are there. The second thing is the use of technology is very, very critical in this entire thing. Today, in the entire this knowledge system, what is missing is trust. And there is a technology available which can build the trust. We have seen India leading the way. Earlier people won't use the mobile for any financial transactions because they don't trust that my entire money would be safe in the bank or not. Similarly, so there is entire India is tech revolution came, which changed. There is UPI changed, everybody is using it, there is not a problem to it. And why this happened? Because this open source infrastructure was created by government. So government plays a role of creating infrastructure and regulation. I see government's role only of these two, which is real role of a government to create regulations as well as infrastructure, not doing the business. So in the agri stake also, there should be agri stake where the open source system should be there, which tells people. And nowadays technology is not a difficult, which is available. Blockchain is a very established kind of technology which can be decentralized and build, which can make scale at decentralized level. So maybe one of the recommendation can go of, kind of thing, agri stack, where this entire agri and the food sector, and particularly the Indic wisdom, can be taken and, decentralized at the scale level. Second thing is about, growing part of it, where there is a Vriksha Ayurveda is available, there are community participation available. Community participation, when we think about it, we think always the rural. you know Community participation of good food can also happen at urban centers. You see, nowadays societies are there, entire rooftops are available, which is not usable. Those can be used to grow good food. You know so so how this will happen? This will happen when there is a enabling ecosystem is available. And what is enabling ecosystem? I put it in three part. One is academia, which is a part of education, research comes together. The second part comes around the regulation, government. We can put it government, where we can say the regulations and infrastructure, which is means shared infrastructure. And third comes the industry, because for any ecosystem, like solar ecosystem, sun rays plays the part. For human ecosystem, the money plays the part. you know so none of the ecosystem can build at the scale level if the basic economy and industry is plugged into it. So for the academia, of course, there is education. Every speaker before me spoke about importance of education, and I'm sure now new education policy is coming and all, but I think it should be in a structured way. What is very essential should be in all fields, should be incorporated into it. Like in agriculture, Vriksha Ayurveda is there, there is Ayurveda, there are a lot of other things in the history, there are science, so much of subjects, so from elementary level. The second thing is about the research. So when we see the research, then research also should be, we have the invent knowledge is there, Indic knowledge is there, which is invented. But why people will accept? Because there is a way of understanding today, which means it has to pass those tests. Two of the speakers before me spoke about it. One is the nano technology, about this entire ayurvedic, nano ayurvedic technology. There is a Vriksha Ayurveda science to it. Those norms, it whatever is research is there, researcher has to pass those tests and say these are the empirical evidence, these are scientific evidence, and hence people can use it at this scale. Second part about the government, which is about the regulations, like for example, for the organic license and all, there is so much of time it takes. I'm sure there is a lot of regulation. I would not take much of the time, but just put it in the regulatory aspect also, a lot of things which should be changed on that, so that it doesn't take so much of time. Licensing, we know a lot of things which could not happen in COVID, even if we knew that the medicine, these things were available because of regulatory aspect. But now we know one blue ocean event has gone, there are many events going to come in the future, which will be no form of pending pandemic. Are we ready for that? Only thing, if it is our duty, it is not only our duty to take Indic wisdom to the decentralized global scale, but it is for survival of humanity. Otherwise, already people have started thinking how to reach to Mars. So that is what it is. And the third thing which is important about industry building, that's where I think startup plays a very, very critical role. Because today, if you see, India is growing as an economy, say $3 trillion economy. Uh, we know it will reach to $10 trillion economy, then it means 6% growth. So existing entire industry will reach 6 to 7 trillion. Who will create remaining 4 to 5 trillion? They will come from the new ways of this. And I think the Indic ways of it can really play a big role. So another recommendation can be the startup. I'm thinking from purely on that aspect, because the recommendations going to C20 to G20. The startup India should have one fund dedicated to Indic wisdom, whatever methodology. So whether it is, and it won't take time to grow. The invention is difficult, which is available already. And maybe a lot of these patents can be open source patent. There is nothing called open source patent, but if universities are doing, Indian universities are doing, they can say it's open source. We are doing it, we did it, but we allow everybody to use it, kind of thing. So if that happens, and then there is a funding is available to that, I think that can be taken to mass scale. And last but not the least is a communication. And we have master communicator, none other than our prime minister. He communicates the way in such a way that people start believing and accepting it. So that communication should be at the all level, all three levels. When I say communication, one is at the individual level, because today there is an individual identity crisis. So individual level communication. Second is at the family level communication, which already many speakers have spoken about it, and society level communication. So communication should be thought about it that how should we communicate. If we know the best practices, social media is the best thing to promote it, you know. And second, and of course at the industry level, there is a way the packaging happens. We are doing a lot of thing in the millet, for example. People don't use millet, we are using millet dosa better, you know. So millet dosa, jawar dosa better, this is what we are packaging in an innovative way and giving to the customers saying we'll accept it because of the modern way of eating the food. You know, we can't say that, you know, you just eat bajre ki roti, but you will eat millet dosa better in the new form of it. You know, people want to eat traditional varieties of rice which is available. So modern ways of product and communication both, I think these things will take. So I think the gap between innovation and invention was done by our ancestors, innovation is to be done by us. And we can't blame the consumer and the larger humanity to say they are not accepting it. We will make them accept. If we'll think the way of innovating it, it will happen. So thank you.